It's one of the hardest things I've ever done, but it's also one of the best things I've ever done. It's brought me back in tune with nature, paying attention to what flowers are where, what the bees are bringing in. It's really fun to see the springtime development when they're bringing in 5 or 6 different colored pollens, and you can go around and try to figure out where they're all coming from. Even to go sit in the yard and relieve stress is a good thing for me. I can sit in the yard and just listen to the bees. It's something that kind of really pulled at me for a while, and I got into it not knowing where I would go with it, just expecting to have a few beehives. But now that I've got into it so deeply and got into genetics and breeding, I really like where it's going, and I'm hoping to help out not only some beekeepers but the wild population as well, because bees are in trouble, and I feel like I can help them out a little bit. A lot of beekeepers are struggling to keep colonies alive, so bees they need some help. And one of the things that I like to do is educate how people can help. Even as simple as leaving some wildflowers in your lawn. That's good. That's a help. Variety is sometimes the spice of life, and I think when they got a variety of flowers that they can use, that gives them different amino acids in them pollens, and that's something I think is really crucial to bees. It's been interesting to see what they need. They were around long before me, but it's been interesting to see what they need in order to be successful. So I guess that's the relationship I've kind of built with these bees. Is it's interesting to watch as a beekeeper what they need to make this all work. There's some drones. It's that time of year for drones to get kicked out. If they won't leave, then they get killed. They don't want the drones in there to eat all their food for the winter. Let's see what kind of food these bees got in there for the winter. Nectar and pollen going in down here. They're trying to get built up for winter. There's a lot of pollen underneath the nectar in these cells. They need that for winter time because they won't have a place to go. My bees have been, they've been really good to me. They've been a work in progress for quite some time, and one, it's nice to see because I hear a lot that Russian bees are mean and nobody should keep them, but I have 3 little kids that play next to these bees all the time and they don't ever get stung. So they're not mean. And it's just really nice to see how they've come along and how the health of a colony can make a colony easier to deal with as a beekeeper, because a healthy colony is a happy colony. And that makes it easier on the beekeeper. It's tough to work colonies that are very aggressive. So I feel like sometimes when they start to get aggressive, that they're showing you there's something going on in that colony. And that's where the beekeeper can jump in and take a look. This one's a 1-year-old queen. She overwintered this past winter. So she's heading into her 2nd year. And see what's going on, and that's all natural comb that they built off of these barbecue skewers. And this is something that's really cool that they've done. All this is all propolis. So they've sealed up this hive all over. This time of year is tough for a northern beekeeper because you still got some work you want to do yet, but time's running low. Weather's getting colder. Now it's tough for me to break all these propolis seals up. They got these hives sealed up for winter. And they might not get warm weather yet to seal them back up. So I try not to go into them when it gets this time of year. So they are still bringing in some nectar and capping some nectar off. That's good. A little light though. I put a box on and then I put these frames across the top of the box. This is called the frame and the comfort hive barbecue skewer. I put 10 of them across, and then the bees will draw their wax down and start raising their brood in there and bringing in food stores so they can keep growing. Pretty simple. I do. After they get 4 years old, 3 years old, I like to name them. But until then, I don't, because some of them don't last. This hive over here, next to the mating, the comfort hive that you're just looking at, I believe she's a 4-year-old queen. And again, with her, I took a lot of brood out of her all spring and summer long. It was really nice to be able to do that, have queens that were that laying that well. I've gotten comfortable around bees and I find if you're not rushing around bees and you're not banging them around and you're comfortable around them, they're not that vicious. They're just out to do their job. So I still do wear a suit once in a while. When it gets colder weather, I'll wear one. So I will wear a suit then, but I don't like to because the other reason is I want to be able to see the eggs and the larvae. You can't always find the queen in a big hive, but you can find eggs and you'll know she's there. So that's one of the other reasons that pushed me away from wearing a suit. And now it's just so much more comfortable without the suit. It's really cool to watch because my kids are little, 5, 3, and 2. And when they start running around the lawn and I say, hey, there's clover out there, there's bees out there, we gotta watch. Now I'm starting to see these kids, even at a young age, becoming observant of Mother Nature. And that's really cool for me to see. And my wife she's good with the bees. She doesn't come down into the bee yard too much, but she's okay with them being around and she likes what they're doing. And she likes taking some of the products and using them to make other products as well.
Tell me a little bit about your relationship with the bees.
I was kind of involved with it a little bit. I would get in the hives with him. I certainly didn't work with him, but I would kind of join him and just have him explain things to me. And it's really interesting, and you just learn so much every single day, which is really cool. I like that kind of aspect of it. And then, when we started having children, I had to back off. But the nice part now is our oldest son, he's now 5, and he'll put a suit on and he'll go into the hive and he'll learn, different things about the bees as well with his father. Then he goes back to school and he gets to tell all his classmates. So that's really cool. So I use the byproducts. I use the honey, and I also use beeswax in my products. I have a soap that's really great for, especially this time of year. It's for dry, itchy skin, and I use honey. I was using propolis as well, but I kind of got away from that a little bit just because it's a little sticky to work with, and I'm letting Scott use it for his own purposes instead of me taking it for the soap side. I also use the beeswax in my deodorants, and I'm also getting into salves as well, which is really exciting.
At first, when I started the beekeeping and maple syrup business, I thought maybe one could counter the other. I would work on bees in the summer and maple in the winter, but quickly I figured out that they overlap. And that's a very stressful time of the year, so I'm trying to work on a bunch of different stuff at the same time. One of the things I'd like to be able to sell in the spring and in the summer is queens. I enjoy making queens. I enjoy picking out the traits that I want to breed from and making these queens, which is, it's a process. It's 2 to 3 week process. What I'll do is I'll graft little larvae, put them in cups, put them in a queenless hive, and then they'll make my queens for me. So there's really a lot of work to it, and it's very time consuming. But it's something I'd like to push a little more on, because I not only want to increase my numbers. I was at about 125 this summer, and I'd like to go to about 200. So once I can increase my hive numbers, then I can start selling some more queens and putting some of these genetics out in the hands of other beekeepers. And even if they swarm, they're going to help the natural bees. They have a resistance, and that can help the natural bees as well. I do talk to my bees, quite a bit actually. You know, when I'm going through the colony, I'm like, well, I don't mean to move you around too much here, I don't know. An old school trait was talking to your bees about big things that happen in life, weddings or deaths, or I talk to my bees about that. You know, a lot of the information that I learned about the bees was from old beekeepers, so I try to hang on them old beekeeping traditions. Moses Quinby was so important to me. He's the reason why I'm where I'm at today. So that's a very interesting journey that an old beekeeper from the 1800s took me on, along with his brother Adam from England, because he also had the same problems. They had disease back then, and they couldn't just put chemicals in or non-chemical treatments or anything like that. They had to figure it out. And that's kind of the approach that I took. I took what they were doing back in the 1800s and tried to do that here. And the one nice thing was Moses Quimby was from St. Johnsville, and that's where I'm from. So if he could do it then, I can do it now. The difference between a good beekeeper and a bad keeper is a good beekeeper goes into their hives and they inspect their hives and they care about what's going on in their hives. And a bad beekeeper doesn't go in their hives. They're not helping the problem of bees dying by not going in their hives. It's a necessity to have bees to be a good beekeeper, be a good steward of the bees. I once talked to an old beekeeper. He was a beekeeper of 60 years, 65 years, something like that. Dr. Carl Jerica out of Johnstown. I said to him over tea one day, Doc, what keeps you doing this after all this long? You'll learn something every day if you pay attention. That's what he told me. So I get bored very easily in jobs. And I don't think this is a job I can get bored in if I pay attention and watch what's going on, because it's evolving. Farming's constantly evolving, and beekeeping has got to be evolving with the environment.